All right, ready for a deep dive? Today we're exploring something we all know or think we know, children's play. And we've got a ton of research to go through, academic papers, historical records, even some personal stories. So you might be surprised by what we find along the way. Like, did you know those playgrounds we all loved as kids were once seen as, get this, a solution to urban poverty?
Yeah.
We're going to unpack all that and much more, so let's dive in.
It's really fascinating how something so simple like play has been viewed so differently over time and across cultures. So going back and looking at the history really helps us understand how play became what it is today.
Totally. It's like stepping into a time machine, right? So picture this. It's 1906. Cities are crowded with families looking for a better life. But with all the factories and, packed tenements, there's this growing worry about, well, how the kids are doing. And then the Playground Association of America pops up, these like pioneers. They saw play not just as like a fun thing to do, but as this really important intervention, almost like a social vaccine, to protect kids from the downsides of poverty and city life.
That's a great way to put it. These early advocates for play. They knew that play wasn't just about keeping kids busy. It was about giving them space to grow physically, socially, emotionally.
Yeah.
They were really laying the foundation for how we see play today.
It really makes you think, like, how different were those early playgrounds from the ones we see now? Were they designed for the same kind of free play, or were they more structured? I wonder if kids back then had more freedom to, like, take risks and test their limits.
That's a great question, and it really highlights how playgrounds have changed. Right alongside our understanding of, childhood and how kids develop, while those first playgrounds were often seen as a safe haven, right? A place away from the dangers of the streets, now we're seeing a debate about how much structure versus freedom is best to really get those developmental benefits from play.
Speaking of developmental benefits, let's get into the science of play. What's going on in those little brains when kids are, I don't know, building a Lego city or creating a whole imaginary world? Our sources are full of research about how play helps kids cognitively, socially, emotionally. It's like a mental gym for them, but way more fun.
Right, it is. Think about it this way. Every time a kid pretends, they're actually practicing how to think symbolically, taking abstract ideas and turning them into actions. This really fits with what Vygotsky, a famous researcher, said about play. He believed that play is a big driver of how kids' thinking develops. He even came up with this term, the zone of proximal development, to describe that perfect spot where kids are challenged just enough to learn and grow. And play is often where that happens. It's where they can try out new roles, experiment with language, and just let their imaginations run wild.
So it's not just about letting kids run around and get their energy out. It's about giving them chances to learn and grow through activities they choose themselves. Which makes me think about all those parents who, schedule every minute of their child's day with structured activities. Aren't we, in a way, kind of robbing them of those free play experiences, the ones that let them develop at their own pace?
That's definitely a concern, and it's something our sources talk about a lot. While organized activities can be good, there's more and more research showing that free play has some unique advantages. Think of it like a training ground for life.
Yeah. Like a boot camp for, being a human, but a fun one. So what are some of those advantages? What makes free play so special?
Well, one big thing is resilience. It's like we're always trying to keep kids from failing. But those little stumbles and setbacks, they're actually really important for learning how to bounce back.
Right, to get back up when you fall.
Exactly. Our sources highlight this one study. It found that kids who took more risks in their play, like climbing trees or building, kind of risky structures, they ended up being better at adapting and solving problems later on. It's like those experiences teach them how to assess risks, figure out challenges, and get back up when things don't go their way.
I guess that makes sense. If you never fall, you never learn how to get up again.
Right.
But it's not just about resilience, right? There's more to it than that.
Oh, absolutely. There's also the power of play to spark creativity. When kids can make up their own games and stories, they're not just having fun, they're using their imaginations, building their creative muscles, and finding their own unique ways to express themselves.
I remember spending hours as a kid, building forts out of blankets and pillows, turning the living room into a magical castle. We were directors, actors, and set designers all at the same time. And those experiences, they weren't just about entertainment, they were about learning to solve problems creatively and how to work together.
Exactly. And those skills are super important for success in life. No matter what path they choose, the ability to think outside the box, come up with new solutions, work well with others, those are all things that get nurtured through free play.
But let's be real. We live in a world where safety is a big deal. And parents are, well, understandably worried about letting their kids roam free, like they might have in the past. So how do we balance that need for free play with the realities of modern life? It's not like we can just turn back time.
It's a tough balance, for sure. But our sources offer some really helpful ideas. It's not about trying to recreate the past. It's about being intentional, about creating chances for free play within the limits of our world today.
So, like, what kind of things can parents and caregivers do?
Well, it might involve things like setting aside specific unplugged time,
Hmm.
encouraging kids to explore outside in safe places, or even just giving them more choice in how they spend their free time.
So it's about shifting our mindset as parents and educators. Instead of seeing play as a distraction from real learning, we need to see it as a key part of how kids develop. We need to trust their instincts, encourage them to explore, and resist that urge to overschedule every minute of their day.
Exactly. And that brings us to another really important point. The way our communities are designed plays a big role in whether kids can play or not. Do our neighborhoods have safe and inviting spaces for kids to explore? Are there parks and playgrounds that encourage that unstructured play? And a little bit of risk-taking. Within safe boundaries, of course.
Our sources actually show some really cool examples of cities that are building play into their design. Think about
Yeah.
interactive water features, climbing walls built right into buildings, and adventure playgrounds filled with loose parts and natural stuff that encourage kids to create and explore. It's like they're making play a part of the city itself.
And that's a powerful idea. It's about realizing that play doesn't have to be limited to specific places and times. It can be woven into everyday life. It's about building a culture of play, where we encourage spontaneity, creativity, and a sense of wonder.
I love that. It's not about turning every moment into a game. It's about seeing how play can make even ordinary things more engaging and meaningful. And this isn't just for kids, right? Our sources also talk about play as a form of human expression, even art, for people of all ages.
Absolutely. This is where the work of Johann Huizinga becomes really important. He saw play as its own separate world, apart from everyday life, almost like a sacred space, where we can create our own rules and explore the edges of reality. Through play, we tap into our creativity, experiment with different ways of being, and connect with a deeper sense of joy and wonder.
Wait, so it's not just about kids on a playground. It's about understanding how play shapes our social interactions, our art, even how we see ourselves and the world around us. Now things are getting really interesting.
Exactly. It raises some really deep questions about what play is, its role in society, and its potential to create meaning and connection. This view invites us to see play, not just as a way to pass time, but as a fundamental part of being human, a source of joy, creativity, and personal growth throughout our lives.
Wow, we've gone from historical playgrounds to the science of how brains develop, from the challenges of modern life, to the philosophy of play as art and cultural expression. And we haven't even touched on play in therapy or adult life. There's so much more to explore.
It really is.
But before we get lost in the philosophy of it all, let's bring it back to the individual. Our sources also look at how play can help us grow and feel good, even after those carefree childhood days.
It's like we're taught that play is something we grow out of. But research shows us something completely different. Play isn't just about having fun. It's a vital ingredient for a healthy mind and body throughout our lives. Think of it as a source of creativity, a stress reliever, and a cognitive enhancer, all in one.
I can definitely see that. I always feel more energized and creative after spending time doing something playful. Whether it's painting, playing a board game, or even just getting lost in a good book, it's like those activities reset my brain and let me think in a different way.
You've hit on something important there. Playful activities engage different parts of our brain, challenge us in new ways, and give us a break from the routines and stress of everyday life. Studies have actually shown that engaging in play can improve memory, boost problem-solving skills, and even make it easier to learn new things. It's like a workout for our brains, but in a fun and engaging way.
So it's like a secret weapon for keeping our minds sharp and our spirits high. Where do I sign up?
Right.
But what about those of us who feel like we've lost touch with our playful side? Life can get pretty serious, and it's easy to let that inner child fade away. Is it possible to get that playfulness back? To rediscover the joy of just letting go and having fun?
Absolutely. It's never too late to reclaim your playful side. The key is to be intentional about it. Start by making time for activities you truly enjoy, whether it's dancing, gardening, playing music, or just taking a walk in nature. Explore new hobbies, reconnect with old passions, or even just give yourself permission to be silly and spontaneous.
Our sources even mention something called ludic therapy, which uses play to help adults with mental health challenges. That sounds interesting. Is it like going back to childhood? Or is it more complex than that?
It's not about regressing to childhood. It's about using the natural healing power of play. Ludic therapy creates a safe and comfortable space for people to explore their emotions, build resilience, and develop coping mechanisms. It can be really effective for managing stress, anxiety, and even processing trauma.
It's like giving ourselves permission to step outside the seriousness of adulthood and tap into a more playful and creative way of being. And maybe that's a key takeaway from our deep dive into play. It's not just about slides and swings or even childhood memories. It's about embracing a mindset, a way of approaching life with curiosity, joy, and a willingness to see the world differently.
I like that.
So, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what are some key things our listeners can take away and use in their own lives? What's the one thing you hope they'll remember long after this is over?
I think the most important thing is to remember that play isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It's crucial for our well-being, our relationships, and our ability to thrive in this complex and ever-changing world. Make time for play, even if it's just a few minutes each day. Explore different kinds of play and find what brings you joy. Don't be afraid to be silly, spontaneous, and even a little messy.
And never forget that play isn't just for kids. It's a lifelong journey of discovery, connection, and growth. Embrace your inner child. Tap into your playful side. And watch as life becomes a little brighter, a little more fun, and a whole lot more fulfilling.
Well said. One last thought. Think about how you can create more opportunities for play in your life and in the lives of those around you. Advocate for more play-friendly spaces in your community. Encourage children to engage in unstructured play. Make time for more laughter and silliness in your own life. Remember, play is contagious, and its benefits are endless.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the wonderful world of play. We hope you've come away with a new appreciation for its power and some inspiration to bring more play into your life. Until next time, stay curious, stay playful, and keep exploring. It's like we're always trying to protect kids from failing, but those little stumbles and setbacks, they're actually really important for building resilience.
Right.
Our sources actually highlight this fascinating study. It found that kids who took more risks in their play, like climbing trees or building, kind of risky structures, they actually ended up being better at adapting and solving problems later on in life. It's like those experiences teach them how to assess risks, figure out challenges, and get back up when things don't go their way.
Don't forget about the power of play to, spark creativity.
When kids can make up their own games and stories, they're not just having fun, right? They're exercising their imaginations, flexing their creative muscles, and developing their own unique ways of expressing themselves.
Yeah. I remember spending hours as a kid
Yeah.
building forts out of blankets and pillows,
Wow.
and turning the living room into this magical castle.
Yeah.
We were directors and actors and set designers all at the same time. And those experiences, they weren't just about entertainment. They were about learning to solve problems creatively
Yeah.
and how to work together,
Right.
Exactly. And those skills, they're essential for success, no matter what path they choose later in life. The ability to think outside the box, come up with innovative solutions, work effectively with others. These are all qualities that are nurtured through free play.
But let's be realistic for a second. We live in a world where safety concerns are, paramount. And parents are understandably hesitant to, let their kids roam free like they might have in the past. So how do we balance that need for free play with, the realities of modern life? We can't just turn back time.
It's a delicate balance, but our sources offer some valuable insights. It's not about trying to perfectly replicate the past, It's more about being intentional about creating those opportunities for free play within the constraints of our modern world.
So, what would that look like?
Well, it might involve things like setting aside dedicated unplugged time, encouraging outdoor exploration in safe environments, or simply giving children more autonomy in choosing how they spend their free time.
So it's about shifting our mindset as parents and educators. Instead of viewing play as a distraction from real learning, we need to recognize it as this fundamental component of a child's development. We need to trust their instincts, encourage exploration, and, resist that urge to overschedule every moment of their day.
And that actually brings us to another crucial point. The way our communities are designed plays a significant role in either fostering or hindering play. Do our neighborhoods have safe and inviting spaces for children to explore? Are there parks and playgrounds that actually encourage unstructured play and even risk-taking within, safe boundaries.
That's so interesting. And actually, our sources showcase some really inspiring examples of cities that are incorporating play into their urban design. Think like interactive water features, climbing walls integrated into public buildings, and adventure playgrounds filled with loose parts and natural materials, which encourage kids to create and explore. It's like they're weaving play into the very fabric of the city itself.
And that's a really powerful concept. It's about recognizing that play isn't confined to, designated spaces and times. It can be woven into those everyday moments of our lives. It's about fostering a culture of play where we encourage spontaneity, creativity, and a sense of wonder in our interactions with the world around us.
I love that idea. It's not about turning every single moment into a game, but it is about recognizing the power of play to transform even mundane activities
Yeah,
into something engaging and meaningful. And this isn't just for children, is it?
absolutely not.
Our sources delve into this fascinating world of play as a form of human expression, even art for people of all ages.
This is where the work of Johann Huizinga becomes incredibly relevant. He saw play as this distinct realm, separate from ordinary life, almost like a sacred space where we create our own rules and explore the boundaries of reality. Through play, we can tap into our creativity, experiment with different ways of being, and connect with a deeper sense of joy and wonder.
Wait, so it's not just about kids on a playground. It's about understanding how play shapes our social interactions, our artistic expressions, even our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. This is getting really interesting.
Precisely. It raises some really profound questions about the nature of play, its role in human society, and its potential to create meaning and connection. This perspective invites us to see play, not just as a mere pastime, but as this fundamental aspect of the human experience, a source of joy, creativity, and personal growth throughout our lives.
Wow, we've gone from historical playgrounds to the science of brain development, from the challenges of modern life to the philosophical depths of play
Yeah.
as a form of art and cultural expression. And we haven't even touched on the therapeutic applications of play or its role in adult life. There's so much more to uncover. It feels like we've, I don't know, just scratched the surface of this whole world of play. But before we get too lost in all the philosophy, let's bring it back down to earth a little.
Yeah.
Our sources talk about how play can help us personally grow and, feel good, even after we're not kids anymore.
It's almost like we're told that play is something we just kind of outgrow. But the research shows us a totally different picture. Play isn't just about having fun. It's really important for a healthy mind and body throughout our lives. You can think of it as a source of creativity, a way to relieve stress, and something that boosts our thinking, all rolled into one.
I can see that. I always feel more energized and creative after I spend time doing something playful, like painting or playing a board game, or even just getting lost in a good book. It's like those activities kind of reset my brain and help me think in a new way.
You've hit on a key point. Playful activities engage different parts of our brain. They challenge us in new ways. And they offer a much-needed break from the, routines and stresses of daily life. Studies have shown that playing can improve memory, help us solve problems better, and even make us better at learning new things. It's like a workout for our brains, but in a fun and engaging way.
So it's like a secret weapon for keeping our minds sharp and our spirits high. But what about those of us who, feel like we've kind of lost touch with our playful side? Life can get so serious, and it's easy to forget about that inner child. Is it even possible to get that playfulness back, to rediscover the joy of just letting go and having fun?
Absolutely. It's never too late to reclaim your playful side. The key is to be intentional about it.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, start by scheduling time for activities you genuinely enjoy, whether it's dancing, gardening, playing music, or even just taking a walk in nature. Explore new hobbies, reconnect with old passions, or even just give yourself permission to be silly and spontaneous.
I like that. Just be silly.
Yeah.
Our sources also mention something called ludic therapy, which uses play to help adults with mental health challenges. So is that going back to childhood, or is it more than that?
It's not about literally going back to childhood. It's more about tapping into the healing power of play. Ludic therapy creates a safe and comfortable space for people to explore their emotions, build resilience, and develop ways to cope with challenges. It can be really helpful for managing stress and anxiety, and even for processing trauma.
So it's like giving ourselves permission to, I don't know, step outside of all the serious stuff of being an adult and be more playful and creative. And maybe that's a key takeaway from our deep dive into play. It's not just about slides and swings or even childhood memories. It's about a mindset, approaching life with curiosity and joy, and willingness to see things in a new way.
Beautifully said.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some things our listeners can take away and use in their own lives? What's the one thing you really hope they'll remember?
The most important thing to remember is that play isn't a luxury. It's essential. It's crucial for our well-being, our relationships, and how we thrive in this complex and constantly changing world. Make time for play, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. Find what kind of play brings you joy, and don't be afraid to be silly, spontaneous, and even a little messy.
And never forget that play isn't just for kids. It's a lifelong journey, full of discovery, connection, and growth. Embrace your inner child. Tap into that playful side of yourself, and you'll see life become a little brighter, a little more fun, and much more fulfilling.
Well said. And one last thought. Think about how you can create more opportunities for play in your life and in the lives of those around you. Advocate for more play-friendly spaces, encourage kids to engage in unstructured play, and make time for more laughter and silliness in your own life. Remember, play is contagious, and it has so many benefits.
I love that. Play is contagious. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of play. We hope you've come away with a new appreciation for its power and some inspiration to bring more play into your life. Until next time, stay curious, stay playful, and keep exploring